Hey, what's up guys? This is Foryam and I'm back with a new Minecraft Dungeons video. On Monday, the 26th of October, a very awesome new free content update was released for Minecraft Dungeons called the Spooky Fall event. This one does not only introduce the Apocalypse level 7 plus 20, but also allows us to get our hands on some very awesome new unique items that will only be available for a limited amount of time. The total lifespan of this event is 7 days, so if you want to get your hands on these seasonal trial unique items, then you should definitely get online as quick as possible and farm for them. Exclusively during these days, you will be able to find spooky trials on your map, which are pretty much the same as daily trials. They will give you a very awesome reward, but the cool thing is that you can actually see straight away which item you will get after completing the mission. Some of these spooky trials even have night mode activated, which is a new game mode that makes the level a lot darker, makes the sounds a little bit scarier, they echo a little bit, and this will also spawn even more enemies around you. So that is definitely a very awesome challenge to do. In total, there are 4 new unique items which you can collect exclusively during this seasonal trial event. Our new melee weapon is the Sinister Sword, then we have a new piece of armor called the Hungry Horror, Haunted Bow as ranged weapon, and then also a artifact called the Corrupted Pumpkin. In this video I will cover every 4 of them, also talk about if they are actually useful in your build and which enchantments you should definitely focus on. So guys, let's get right to it. The first Spooky Trial unique exclusive item which you can get your hands on is the Sinister Sword. All 4 of these items can actually be found every single day, and they have a 100% to drop on the daily mission if you have completed it. Also, if we have a look at the design of the weapons and armor, I think they did a very awesome job to make them look pretty spooky and fit into the Halloween event big time, but at the same time maybe these items might not be the perfect fit for your actual build that you're currently using. The Sinister Sword has the increased critical hit chance as unique ability, and this is pretty much the same like we can see on the Hogbrand weapon. So you can tell that this is a reskin, but in my opinion it looks way cooler. Since swords have a pretty fast attack speed and at the same time also complete their attack animation quite quickly, I definitely recommend you guys to focus on something like swirling on this weapon. Of course, radiance can also be very useful, or leeching, it really depends on your preference of healing. And of course, critical hit can be very interesting as well. Just like we see on the fighter's bindings, this is a pretty similar enchantment combo. If you're playing on Apocalypse, it might be interesting to weaken your enemies as well, because right now on Apocalypse level 7 plus 20, they deal a lot of damage, so weakening could be very nice to play with. If you happen to find a Sinister Sword with Committed, this could definitely be interesting against bosses. For big packs of mobs, I also recommend you to play with Rampaging. That could be so much fun to mow down those big packs of mobs. And then we have the Hungry Horror. This is, in my opinion, a very awesome looking piece of armor, but at the same time has some pretty decent enchantments as well. Plus 25% melee attack speed, 35% damage reduction, and then another plus 20% damage boost aura for your weapons, which means you will have a very high damage output and at the same time become quite tanky with this gear, which is, in my opinion, perfect for the new Apocalypse level 7 plus 20. The roll, which I found is not perfect, but at the same time does have some pretty interesting enchantments. First off, the Cowardice. If you are on full HP, guys, this will increase your weapon damage on both melee and ranged by another plus 40% on the maximum level. If you want to play on safe, guys, Chilling will definitely be a very interesting enchantment for the higher Apocalypse difficulties as well, because it will reduce the attack and movement speed by 60% of all your enemies. And you can tell that on Apocalypse level 7 plus 20, they walk very fast and hit very fast, so Chilling will definitely be a nice option to play with. Final Shout, you can never go wrong with this one. This will always trigger all your artifacts every time when you get below 25%. Of course, has a cooldown of 8 seconds on the maximum tier, but still is a very strong enchantment. And there we have it, guys, the glorious cooldown reduction. If you're not playing with cooldown reduction on your armor, you might stop playing as well, because on the higher Apocalypse difficulties, it's all about having the perfect build, and artifacts contribute to that for like 50% of your items. If you have nice artifacts, you want to use them as many times as possible, and cooldown reduction takes care of that. Having one cooldown reduction on your armor is nice, but I definitely recommend to get your hands on at least 2 of them. If you play with something that already has a built-in cooldown reduction like the mage robes and the battle robes, one will be just fine. If you're having some serious difficulties taking down a certain level on the higher Apocalypse difficulty, protection could also be interesting, but in my opinion, since this armor already has a 35% damage reduction built in, won't really contribute that much. For example, a better option would definitely be Cowardice with a plus 40% damage output. Then for the seasonal trial exclusive range weapon, we have the Haunted Bow. Everybody was thinking that this was going to be a reskin of the Guardian Bow because the skin itself looks a little bit similar, but we actually got a reskin of the Twin Bow. This one shoots 2 enemies at once, which in my opinion is a pretty bad enchantment. But at the same time, if you were lucky to get your hands on this ranged weapon with some pretty cool enchantments, you might be able to play with it perfectly fine. Some enchantments make it very interesting for a speedrun build, for example. The roll which I got my hands on had Burst Bowstring, which shoots nearby mobs when you roll, costing 1 arrow per roll, and projectiles deal 40% of a charge shot's damage. And you can get this up to 3 targets. And we're not really focusing on the Burst Bowstring right here, but actually on the Tempo Theft, which was also included as enchantment on this weapon, steals a small amount of a mob's movement speed and gives it to you for 4 seconds. So every time when I roll, I automatically hit my enemies and steal 50% of their movement speed. And on Apocalypse level 7 plus 20, enemy mobs walk very fast. So this is a pretty interesting enchantment combo to work with. I also found a second Haunted Bow with some pretty interesting enchantments. First off, we have Dynamo. Since we're hitting 2 enemies at the same time, you will be able to stack up your Dynamo and hit 2 enemies like a truck, literally, if you rolled quite some times. Then also the power enchantments, which will boost the damage of every single arrow by 33%, so that is a lot of extra damage as well. When your maximum charge, supercharge will also be pretty decent, but in general the Haunted Bow is not fantastic for these enchantments. I recommend you to just focus on speedrun enchantments. And then last but not least, we also have the Corrupted Beacon. This one fires a high-powered beam that continuously damages mobs, and this is actually a reskin of the artifact that we already have, but this one is unique and will deal even more damage. Has a 2.5 second cooldown, plus 1 soul gathering, and of course requires souls to activate it. Okay, so right now I'm going to show you guys some gameplay with all these new items equipped at the same time. First off, we have the Sinister Sword, Rampaging, Leeching and Swirling. So I'll be able to heal myself, deal a lot of area of effect damage, and also have a chance of getting an even higher attack speed. Hungry Horror with Cowardice, cooldown reduction and Acrobat. So I will have an extra high damage output, cooldown reduction, so I'll be able to use my artifacts more often, and the Acrobat will allow me to roll more often, which contributes very nicely in combination with the Haunted Bow, because this one has the Burst Bowstring Tempo Theft combination, which allows me to steal a lot of movement speed of enemies. At the same time, I will shoot more enemies because of the shoot 2 enemies at once, which will of course also trigger more few shots. Alright, so guys, that is pretty much everything you need to know about the Spooky Trial timed exclusive unique items which you will be able to find during this seasonal trial event. Time is running, guys, so definitely make sure to get your hands on them as quick as possible. As of right now, the event will only take place for 6 more days. If there is anything I can help you with, guys, definitely make sure to leave it in the comments down below. And of course, if you enjoyed watching this video, just hit that like button for a second. I appreciate it big time. Also, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because there is so much more coming your way. And of course, if you have a video suggestion, just join the Discord, guys. Talk about all your ideas right there. We're talking about the Minecraft server, about Minecraft dungeons, about this new rare roll thingy. There are so many things that I still have to make a video for. But right now it is 4 AM out. I'll see you guys very soon. Take care.